Match days today. Erik Ten Hag's side takes on FC20, his boyhood club that nurtured him through the academy and made him the player or the person that he came into where he is right now. Welcome to the United Matters channel. How are you guys and where are you watching us from? I go by the names of Rock and David. Smash like button, comment and share. If I told you watching us for the very first time, endeavor to subscribe to this channel so as not to miss out on stories that we do upload in here on a daily. And Rock and David is my name, and I repeat it. You can as well call me Rock and David, or you can call me Arat into the mix. Now, here we bring you the latest news and information as far as everything is really concerned, and we continue to bless it up like no other. And today we are talking Erik Ten Hag Europa targets. He has talked lots of things. I'm really trying to harvest some of his says into the some of his haze from the pre-match press conference he did, and I think you're really gonna enjoy it. Let's see close to 100 likes smash on this video and continue to subscribe because we want to hit 20,000 subscribers. Now let's obviously take it on to this level, and Erik Ten Hag has something to say to you, the people of Man United. Now, he was asked onto when asked about the UEFA Europa League, he said there are more roads to achieve the targets you want. Most difficult probably, that is in the end a knockout stage, but we don't look too far ahead. We have to go game by game. It's a target, and it's a road we have. It's a road we want to go to. So that is Erik Ten Hag for you. When he comes out and really speaks that, you really feel that he's talking to the people that, or addressing the fans of Man United, that they're in here to win this tournament. And I think the first time he played in this tournament under Manchester United, we all know that United would have gone ahead to win it, but the injuries went ahead to cost the club of Manchester United. We had beaten Sevilla 2 goals, and those 2 injuries of Rafael Varane and then Lisandro Martinez to a man down. You know what happened. I don't even want to obviously reminisce about it, but you all know what happened. But he had a chance to obviously win it because I believe he had a squad that could beat any team. But because we are playing very many games, injuries went ahead to surge at the club of Manchester United, and they resulted into us not really winning the trophy. But he says it's really going to be hard at the knockout stage, but he believes that he can win it, and they want to win it. That's their aim, but they have to go game by game. Obviously, you have to go game by game, but the ultimate apex of all this is to go out and really win this beautiful game of football, or this beautiful tournament that Erik Ten Hag has always gone ahead to look at to win. And I tell you what, something that is really very special about Erik Ten Hag is that every season he has been winning a trophy that goes far a little bit the one that he really won previously. And in his first season, he won the Carabao Cup. And if I told you to look at the hierarchy of all those tournaments that we play, all club tournaments that we play every season, Carabao Cup is really the last. Then last season he won the FA Cup, that is next to what we call the Carabao Cup, and thirdly is the Premier League. On top of it all, he is the Champions League, and now they're trying to bring in what we call the Club World Cup. I think that will obviously summarize or epitomize everything concerning the club football. So I think if Erik Ten Hag conducts himself well, this trophy is there for him to win, because this time around there are no clubs dropping from the Champions League to come to the UEFA Europa League, meaning that the only clubs that you see there are the only clubs that we are expected to face. You understand? Those are the only clubs that we are expected to face in this tournament. So Ten Hag is like, it's a difficult tournament, but he knows that we can obviously go ahead and obviously beat those teams. And I think we can really win. We can really win huge. And what went ahead obviously reduce onto the strength of teams that really dropped to the UEFA Europa League is that in certain leagues, they went ahead obviously take like, is it 5 teams, 6 teams? And look at the Bundesliga. I think they took Bayern Munich. They took Bayern Munich. they took Leverkusen, they took Borussia Dortmund, they took RB Leipzig, and there is another club that they really took from Germany. So they took other teams that would have been coming through here and really give United headache. So as it stands, I know we have the squad to obviously go ahead and really do something great in there for you, but it all starts today. And with it starting today, obviously, we'll be letting you know what it all means to the man known as Erik ten Hag. Now, he was asked on the new format of the UEFA EUROPA League. He said, there are too many games, too many competitions. It's clear the players are overloaded. This is not good for football. Maybe it's good for commercial. Now, I really don't understand why people say it's really that there is a congestion of games. You know, I've always told people that it became a congestion of games after COVID, and after COVID came in through, and after the World Cup was played in December. That is it. But if you've been following football for all this time, we all know to it that we watched Champions League football and teams could play all those games. They could play in the Carabao Cup, they could play in the FA Cup and the Premier League. Now, where is the congestion? For me, I think it's COVID that went ahead to obviously cut short the rest of these players. But I tell you, these players have been playing the same number of games. Can someone tell me that in 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, these players never played this same number of games? You get? So let's wait and see how that pans out. But I think it's not an excuse, because if a team has 2 players per position, I believe if you manage them better, they can obviously find themselves going through the season very, very well. Because in this congestion, we've gone ahead to see Man City raise their bar so high, you know, and their injuries haven't gone ahead obviously do the needful. And people are like, players who won't really do the needful or really perform to their peaks, or to their efficiency, or to their ceiling. And I'm like, why is it that we've gone ahead to see players like Kylian Mbappe, Erling Haaland, everything that comes up, they obviously continue to raise the bar so high. So I think managing the players' time will be very crucial, and choosing which games for them to play and which them not to play. And that calls in for a team to be having 2 elite players per position. I think that's the solution. But these games we are being played way back. So what is the difference? I don't find it. So he obviously came up and said the following as the manager, that Erik ten Hag on fixture congestion. As a club, we can change this. It's about clubs and players and coaches. We have to work on this to improve the game and find the right balance. We are professional and revenues have to come, but we have to balance it out. So he says, as a club, we can't change this. It's about clubs and players and coaches. We have to work on this to improve the game and find the right balance. We are professional and revenues have to come, but we have to balance it out. And I think it all goes back to the quality of players that you have. For example, if you look at Manchester United, if United is having a fully fit squad, I tell you, you can easily balance everything out. Like, you can manage the minutes of every player very, very well. Now, like last week mid, we played in the Carabao Cup, and you saw to it that Erik ten Hag went ahead to rest like 9 players. You get? Over the weekend, he brought them back into the starting 11, you understand? And Marcus Rashford, who started the game of Southampton and the game of Barnsley, he played off the bench. You know, the Lisandro Martinez were arrested, and now we come to this week where we played on the weekend, or we are playing on Wednesday, and we're going to be playing on the weekend. And I tell you what, the manager has every right, obviously, field all the players that he feels like, and they play over the weekend against Tottenham Hotspur. And then in the midweek, I know maybe Carabao Cup might return, and when it returns, United might obviously find themselves playing an extra game, and he might really do some huge rotation in there. So I find it very, very okay if at all we are really having all those players. And I think the only thing that they should be debating on is to obviously regulate what we call the financial fair play, and the Premier League profit and sustainability rules, such that teams can add in like more 3-4 players into their squad, period. And also maybe increase the substitutes and increase the number of players that are supposed to be on the bench. There are 8, they should add on 3 and see close to 11 coming onto the bench. That is it. And increase like 1 or 2 more substitutes to make them 6. I think that's what we should be advocating for, not so? But right now, I don't find it sane when we're really arguing about that. So that is it. And let's wait and see how things pan out. But it's really gonna be a bumpy ride season, because games are coming in through thick and fast. Now, Erik ten Hag was asked about facing the team that he supports. He said, of all teams, FC20 is the team I follow the most. I watch them as a fan, as a supporter, not as an analyst. It's a different way of watching their game. So he's like, I watch them, and I watch them as a fan and not as an analyst. So that's why he was like, I cannot come here and really give you my genuine dossier from their performances, but I can come in here and really talk about FC20 as a fan, because I follow it up. It has been my childhood club, and I know all that. Now, he was asked on FC20. He said, I would have preferred to play against someone else. It's not nice to hurt something you love. So obviously he knows to it that Manchester United is really steps ahead of a team known as FC20, and as it stands, there is no way he's not gonna hurt them, because they haven't gone ahead to win games in England. I think they've only gone ahead to win 1 game against Fulham, and when they are playing against the rest of the teams, it's really tears. And he knows to it that he has a more superior side. Even if he fields his second 11, I tell you what, it can come in through and obviously annihilate the side of FC20. And it's another chance for Manchester United to obviously continue its winning stretch, because ever since return from the international break, we haven't gone ahead to concede any goal. 2 games played, 2 wins, 1 draw, and let's go 3 in 4 and then see how we go on to Crystal Palace. So he doesn't want to hurt them, but there is nothing he's gonna do, because he has what we call a metallic sword. And for the side of FC20, they have what we call a wooden sword. And I think if you're to be pierced by a wooden sword and a metallic sword, what breaks down into the body, or what penetrates into the body easier, it's the metallic sword, not so? So I think we have everything to do. He said, 20 has given me a lot. I came through the academy, so for me, it's special. Of all teams, I follow FC20. I watch as a fan, not as an analyst. So that is Erik ten Hag for you, coming in, thought of putting in that shift altogether. And I was like, all right, he has come out and really had something to say about FC20. So that's what he said. And those are some of the bits that went ahead to obviously capture from that press conference. And from the press conference, they headed into what we call the training session for the club of Manchester United. And there is going to be contention, because a tailbender year is really good, and maybe Ten Hag would love to obviously offer him a chance to play into the UEFA Europa League. But we'll wait to see whether that chance will be given to him. But he trained well yesterday, and you see him walking to the pitch at Carrington. Andre Onana, man of the moment, showing his levels of performance and really improvement into what he's supposed to be doing. And he continues to put in the required shift altogether. Then Bruno Fernandes was part of the training session, and he's a man who needs to prove himself right, as no one has the best goal and assist involvement into the game, than him ever since he's playing the UEFA Europa League, and that is Bruno Fernandes. Having gone ahead to have a very shoddy game when you're playing against Crystal Palace, this is high time for him to prove himself. Then Manuel Ugarte, one of those that I believe it's a must for him to start. He really took part in the training session. Then Anthony, obviously, he went blonde on his head, you see, smiling. He's also one of those players that I believe is really going to be coming through to start into the squad of Manchester United. Toby Collier, I think, is the only academy, he's the only player that went ahead to come from the under-21s, obviously, feature into the training session. And remember, only the players that are expected to obviously take part into the game of Europe are really expected to take part into what we call the eve, the training eve, you know. And this is Tyrell Malacia and Matthias de Ligt. All these are Dutch, and it's good to see Tyrell Malacia back at the club of Manchester United, because if he trained yesterday, that means the manager has something in him to see that obviously gets him in. But we need to see whether he'll be part of the squad arriving at Old Trafford like 2 hours before the game of football. Tyrell Malacia into action alongside Eric Ten Hag, Joshua Zirkzee, Harry Maguire, and John Evans. So we are waiting to see what Eric Ten Hag is really going to be doing. But the return of Tyrell Malacia is really very important, because if he makes it to the bench, that means the manager will obviously have to get him some minutes and see how he's really going to be featuring into the mix. And it will be good news. Amadi Diallo, Mr. Magician, Mr. Dependable, Mr. Dynamic, Mr. Press Resistant. And he's a person that I've gone to see very many journalists are really judging. And I was like, you look at the stats. What do the stats tell you? You understand? So Amadi Diallo was part of the training session. Zirkzee and Marcus Rashford smiling during the training session. This is Garnacho. You see Matthias de Ligt, Casemiro, Dalot, Lisandro Martinez, and Victor Lindelof is also back into the contention. And this is where, by the way, even the bench of Manchester United is really going to be something to fight for, because to make it to the bench is really going to be hard, I tell you. Then Eriksson smiling into the training session. And then this is Rasmus Højlund, Mason Mount, and Toby Collier into the training session of the UEFA Europa League game that's going to be played today. John Evans, one of those that I anticipate is going to be starting into the game of football today, because I know what Eric Ten Hag is really planning. He needs to rest some players before we play against Tottenham Hotspur. Harry Maguire, Ruud van Nistelrooy in the open training session, right? Then Casemiro, Dalot, Matthias de Ligt, and Lisandro Martinez obviously trying to do the chase into the rendo that was being played into the open training session. And here we have Eriksson and Mason Mount obviously doing the needful. And this is Anthony obviously doing what he has to do. And Malacia Tyrell, the happiness of us. By the way, Malacia, I think I should do a very good video, deep video about him, because if you know how Man United is going to hit to suffer in as far as the left back is concerned, because you don't have the right balance, it really hasn't really, there is no better news than this guy's return, because we note it that he can now be played as a left back, and we can rest Mazraoui and one of Dalot into these games, and all you have to do is to manage his minutes very well and see how we are going to initiate him into the team. But I know Ten Hag knows that better, and he calculates the minutes these players are supposed to be playing. Malacia is obviously over the moon. And people were like, United should get in another left back. And I was like, Malacia is on his way back. And even Luke Shaw is on his way back. So if these two are on their way back, then why should we obviously rush? We are just 5 games in the Premier League in. Played 1 game in the Carabao Cup. Played 1 game. We're going to play our first game in the UEFA Europa League. So I think no reason to rush. Eric Ten Hag and Rene Heck looking out at other players like Anthony and Lisandro Martinez. Then Ruud van Nistelrooy, man of the moment, obviously doing what he had to do and pointing out to other people into the mix. So that's what we want to happen during the training session for the club of Manchester United ahead of the game of FC20. And Eric Ten Hag is the man of the moment, and we wait to see how he's really going to play his former side that he really loves at heart, and he has gone ahead to give it the best that it really deserves. So that is Eric Ten Hag for you, and I call upon for your reactions into the comment section below about Ten Hag's UEFA Europa League targets for Manchester United. I'm out for now. See you later, and continue to subscribe because we want to hit the magic number of 20,000 subscribers. And bye-bye for now.